Inside Out is presented by HTC. This is life. Connect with it. And sponsored in part by Luke Rankin, Rankin & Rankin Law Firm. Experience you can trust. And by Magnolia's at 26th for good old-fashioned Southern comfort food, where Mama eats.
As you can see, we're at the Travelers Chapel in Conway on Highway 501. And why not start our show this month here when lots of people actually come here to this little place to get married? And it is a month of love, isn't it? Well, speaking of love, we've got a lovely show for you. David Manigo is going to be on the piano with his niece Sasia on vocals. Speaking of vocals, the Serendipity singers are also with us. Lon Calhoun, artist, will be featured. Family outreach of Horry County, and we'll even spend some time at a horse ranch in Conway that specializes in rodeos. But we begin with our food segment, and that's all about honey. Superfood that it is. You're getting ready to meet the bee preacher, who's also the beekeeper at Brook Green Gardens. So how many times during the month do you actually use the word honey to talk with your significant other or your children? Well, that's why I decided this would be a great topic for our love month of February. I want you to meet Tom Francis. They call him the bee preacher, and wait till you hear why. He has a business called Bees by the Sea, but we're here at Brook Green Gardens today where Tom is also the beekeeper here. And Tom, how long have you been fooling with bees?
Since 2009.
But I heard that when you were a kid, you collected bees in a jar.
I did. That was our summertime thing. We had some bushes in the side of the yard, and we would catch as many bees as we could. Bumblebees, honeybees, any kind of bee.
So you've always been intrigued, and then you started this business as a hobby, but it's turned into a great paying hobby.
Well, it is. It pays for itself, and with a little extra spending money. And plus I get to educate people about honeybees. And strangely, people are more interested in honeybees than they are just about anything. I also teach the Bible, but I don't get too many people asking me for interviews about that.
Is that how the bee preacher name came about?
It is because I was at Bible college and I was studying for the pastoral ministry in a Baptist church. And during my studies, I found out that Baptist ministers and other ministers used to do beekeeping as a way to supplement their income. And I thought, well, if I ever get into the ministry and if they don't pay me enough, I'm going to do beekeeping. And even if they do pay me enough, I want to get into it. And so, as it turned out, when I went to Bible college, I went to Bible college with 3 children. One of them was just born, and my wife. And I was 29 years old, and so it was a lot on me. I didn't finish what I set out to do. I didn't become a preacher, but I did become a beekeeper.
And you're preaching about bees now all over the community.
Yes.
Tom, what do you do with Bees by the Sea? I mean, you sell the honey, but you do more than that, way more than that.
Yeah. I actually, in the springtime, I get real busy because people call me up and they say, I've got bees in a tree and my children are allergic to bee stings. Can you come out and get the bees? And I do. I come out and catch swarms, and then later on, after we catch all the swarms, we find out that some of the swarms ended up going into people's homes or businesses. And then I get calls about, can you come? We have bees in our church. I've done several churches that got bees in them. And honeybees have a tendency to like to go to church, I've noticed, because several of my removals have been in churches. And so there's another reason why I like them, because they like church.
They're holy.
They're holy bees. They are. So that's, once the swarm season is over, now we have cutout season, where they get into people's homes and I have to go in and cut holes in ceilings and walls and get the bees out. And I actually save the bees, and I get the honey. So instead of just going in there and killing all the bees with some pesticide, I actually get the bees, I put them in a beehive, they make honey, people enjoy honey, it's good for them. And so I do that. And so I do the swarm catching, I do the bee removal, I also do bee lectures where schools have me come in and talk to the children about honeybees. I do lectures out here at Brook Green Gardens. In 2015, we put in the observation hive, which is some of the people's favorite exhibit in here. People sit there and just be mesmerized by these bees.
Well, now I was looking over here, and Tom, it's amazing because you could actually see the bees going out and bringing pollen back in to this exhibit.
Yeah, this time of the year, ordinarily the bees are inside. They huddle together. They try to keep themselves warm. And they're not coming in with pollen, but today we're fortunate. It's 70 degrees, the sun's out, and the bees are coming in with just huge loads of pollen on their back legs. And with that pollen, they use that to feed the baby bees, and they also use it to put the caps on the larvae. And then when the bees begin to hatch, they will eat their way out of those cells, and they'll pull their way out, and they'll be born.
How long do those bees live?
Well, in the summertime, the bees can live for 45 days if they're out foraging, and so they literally work themselves to death. In the fall, the queen will lay a bunch of eggs just right before it starts to get cold, and when those bees hatch, they will carry that hive through the winter, and they can live up to 6 months. But typically in the summertime, a month and a half is about how long the bees live. And so the queen's job is to continually replace the population over and over again and keep the number of bees up.
I see here the difference of the sizes, and the queen is definitely the biggest, but you really can't see her in there. You kind of told me that she hides in the middle.
Yeah, in this hive, there's two sides to the frames, and you can only see the side on this side of the observation hive and the other side, but then in the middle is where she likes to stay. I brought these bees out here in 2015. I have never seen a queen.
How long will she live?
She can live 3 to 5 years.
Can she ever be dethroned?
If she gets to the place where she's not laying enough eggs, then they will replace her.
Really?
And
so how does that happen?
She will lay some eggs, and as long as it's a fertilized egg, it can become a female bee. And the bees will designate certain cells to be queen cells, and they'll give those babies in there a special diet of royal jelly, and those bees will become queen bees. They will be larger, and ultimately when they don't just make one either, they make several in case it doesn't work out. They have some options. So you can have I've had as many as 10 queen cells in a hive, and more than that. But the interesting thing about it is that some people say, well, it's a special bee. Well, actually it isn't. It's a normal worker bee that they give it a special diet. And so some people think the queen bee has leadership abilities and that's why she gets chosen to be a queen. It's none of that. They choose who's going to be the queen when she's an egg. And so it's kind of like election and predestination in the Bible. It's not because of something you did. It's not because of your leadership ability. It's because the bees saw that they needed a new queen, and they laid they laid the eggs, they gave it a special diet, and then the peanut-shaped cells end up becoming queens, and they continually replace her. And so that here we are, we're pushing 5 years on this hive. And they're still doing well.
Well, I mean, that's absolutely magical. I mean, really.
It is. Yeah.
So tell me about the honey. Everyone wants to know about the honey, and we all know that if we eat honey around here, it shouldn't be from the grocery store. It should be from someone who grows it, who raises the honey like you, because that is where all the nourishment is.
Right. Yeah. The stuff at the store, they pressure filter it, and they actually take the pollen out of it. And once you take the pollen out of the honey, it's not really honey anymore. It's just sugar. And the other thing they do to ruin the honey at the store is they heat it to like 147 degrees, which kills all the goodness of the honey. So when you buy it from a local beekeeper, they either use an extractor or they do crush and strain, and you get all the pollen, you get all the nourishment, and it's good for you. And a lot of the people that buy my honey, I'd say probably 80% of the people that buy honey, they do it for allergies. They have allergies, and because the honey has pollen in it, it kind of acts to counteract the pollen allergies that they have.
So Tom, obviously you've certainly shared with us some great information about bees, but people really need to understand just how important they are to our environment and the economy.
Amen. Yes, without bees, we wouldn't have 1/3 of our groceries at the produce counter. And it's important that people appreciate what honeybees do. We understand, because of science now, we understand how important they are. And one of my goals of giving lectures is to help people understand, hey, they're nice, fuzzy little creatures, and we need them, so be nice to the bees. Don't kill them by using all these chemicals in your garden. Plant flowers, and when you see a bee on a flower, hey, thank God for the bee, okay? Because that's how you're getting some of your groceries.
Now you know why he's called the bee preacher. Don't you just love Tom Francis? What a great way to begin our February show. So if you would like to contact Tom, there's the information. Give him a call, purchase some honey, get into beekeeping. He is the expert. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Happy Valentine's Day coming up.
Thank you. Same to you, Diane.
Horsing around with Restless Farms, next on Inside Out.
No matter where the day takes me, HTC provides the high-speed internet services I need. HTC delivers faster speeds, 24/7 local tech support, and free in-home Wi-Fi right here to Horry and Georgetown counties. As trusted community members serving up world-class internet service, I know HTC will keep my family connected to what matters most. Because you are here, and so are we.
High-speed internet starting at 100 megabits per second. Call today.
HTC. This is life. Connect with it.
This segment of Inside Out is brought to you by Magnolia's at 26th for good old-fashioned Southern comfort food, where Mama eats.
Well, I didn't have any cowboy boots. This was the best I could do. My little polka-dotted rubber slickers. Is that what they're called, Stacy?
Mud boots.
Mud boots. Welcome to Conway. We're on 701 South, and I want you to meet Stacy Smith, a real cowgirl at Restless Farms. Stacy, tell me a little bit about how you got into horses.
I guess my daddy introduced me to horses when he bought me a pony at 2, and I always wanted to be a cowgirl, and nothing's changed. Really and truly, when people ask about horses, is that what you do? I said, no, that's who I am, a cowgirl.
And having met you and talked with you, you are a cowgirl. So growing up in Aner, it must have been wonderful to have a horse, and I bet all the kids were envious.
Yeah, it was. I grew up on a tobacco farm in Aner. My daddy was a farmer, and my mom retired from Horry Telephone, as a matter of fact.
Yay!
Yeah, somebody had, you know, it's like with me and Buddy, you got a farm or a ranch, you got to have a wife that works in town and carries good insurance.
And that's what the two of you do.
That's
because
right.
You have another job. Before we talk about the farm, tell everyone what you do.
Yes, I work at Horry County Schools. I've been there for, jeepers, I think like 25 years. Right now, I worked in district office for 18 years, and now I work at a program, actually, it's called the Therapeutic Learning Center, and I love it. Love my kids.
I'm sure you bring a lot of those kids out here to the farm.
We do. Our kids there have come on field trips here several times.
Tell us what Restless Farms means, the name, because it's an unusual name, and it sounds like you guys are incredibly restless.
It is an unusual name, and it's all caps, R-E-S-L-E-S. My husband always wanted to grow up and have a ranch and raise horses and cows. And his daddy, and his initials are R-E-S, Raymond Earl Smith. And his dad was always real restless and on the go. So he wanted to name it Restless Farms.
Tell me what you guys do out here.
We do a little bit of everything. Buddy takes care of this place. You know, I'm at work. I am off in the summer, so we can actually have some time to work together. But basically, he takes care of everything every day. But he raises some core intake cows that he raises and sells every spring, and the horses. And then I rush home every afternoon. I usually have lessons every day at 4 o'clock, pretty much. So we do lessons here and teach kids about horses and share our passion, basically. You know, we're also part of Southern Stock Horse, and some kids show there, and then we got some kids at a high school rodeo with us.
Speaking of rodeo, there's a big event coming up next month, and you told me
yes.
you were so excited about it, and folks can come out and see what's happening.
Exactly. Buddy and I both are on the board, and actually this year I'm the president of South Carolina High School Rodeo. It's a national organization, and every year in July, well, June for the juniors and July for the high school, they have the national finals. And the national finals rodeo for high school is actually the largest rodeo in the world, because you got like 1,600 contestants. So it's a pretty big deal. But there will be a rodeo here next month. We actually decided, after we traveled so far with our daughter, because most of our rodeos are upstate, we traveled so much with her, we decided that we'd produce one here so that they could travel down to the coast one time. So this will be our fifth annual high school rodeo here. We'll have bulls, broncs, everything, barrel racing, the whole deal. Everything that you'd see at a pro rodeo we'll have here.
Is there a fee for people to come?
It is. It's $10 for adults.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, and children 6 and under are free.
You mentioned your daughter, and I know that she really did a great job on the rodeo circuit over the years.
She did. She did a great job. She really has a God-given talent on a horse. But she competed in high school rodeo, and we took her to nationals 2 years in a row out to Rock Springs, Wyoming. She competed at nationals, she competed in the cutting, rein cow horse, and breakaway roping.
Let's talk about Cowboys for Christ. I know that you and Buddy are
Passionate.
so passionate, high on this program is what I was going to say, and it put a smile on your face when you were telling me about it earlier.
Yes. Cowboys for Christ is a national organization just like high school rodeo, and we're a chapter, a local chapter of that. And different chapters do different things. Some may do prison ministries, rodeo ministries, different things like that. But we chose years ago, back in 1998 when we started, to do a children's ministry. So we travel. Sometimes we do community events with churches, but annually we go to 3 children's homes or residential facilities every year, put on a program, and take gifts to them. And what our slogan is, we want to give them a little bit of cowboy and a whole lot of Jesus.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that gave me chills. So Buddy's out there playing around with the horses. Tell me about the horses themselves, because I understand you've got some prized ones.
We do. We've got some really, really, really good horses here, and all boys, because we kind of prefer, it's kind of, you put one girl in the mix and she messes everything up. So we have all geldings. We've got this gray horse back here behind us. That's Newt. He is the horse that Aaron competed in breakaway and team roping on in rodeo. Little bay horse over there is Buddy's. We've got her horse that she did cutting and rein cow and southern stock horse on. We got some old retired guys over here. We even got one little guy that actually doesn't belong to us. He belongs to a friend, and he was world champion at American Ranch Horse. So we've been blessed. The Lord's blessed us with some good horses to put these little kids on.
Stacy, the county has been talking about the possibility of looking into building an equine center, and I just wondered what you thought about that. I mean, having worked now with HTC throughout the county, I can certainly see where there's so many people employed in the horse business that it would be incredibly beneficial.
It would be beneficial in so many ways. I feel like it's long overdue, because you take us, for example, and so many others that live here that compete in different disciplines, whether it may be the English world, the cutting, rein cow horse, Western pleasure, all different disciplines. We have to travel to so many other places to go to shows. That's one thing. That would be one benefit, that we would have something closer here. But the big benefit is it's going to draw so many people in. I mean, we've been to shows from, like I say, and rodeos all across the country. And it brings so much economic impact into the area. Because I'm telling you, it's not cheap to be a cowboy or a cowgirl. It costs. And those people will go spend money. I mean, they're going to stay in the hotels. They're going to go to the restaurants, shop, all those different things, and it will be a lot of people. You know, say you may have one family that, say the daughter rides in an English show, for instance, and the rest of the family doesn't. Well, Dad's going to golf, Mom's going to go shopping. They're going to do all kinds of different things.
I think a hurricane is coming.
I think so too.
Go ahead.
But yes, it would just be so wonderful. As a matter of fact, just to give an example, the I told you a while ago how big the National High School Finals is. Well, the junior high finals are going to be held in Perry, Georgia in 2 years. I know that I read in Rock Springs in 2012 that was a couple of years before we went the first time, their economic impact for the area, because you got to imagine all these contestants coming in was going to be like $8 million. I mean, that's astronomical.
So Stacy, in wrapping up, let's remind everybody one more time the date of the rodeo and invite people to come out and get involved.
The date is March 13th and 14th. It'll be at 8 p.m. nightly. And we just like to invite everybody to come out. We started doing this because we wanted to raise awareness and let people know that it's out there. And you know, we got kids getting full rides to college on rodeo scholarships from competing in high school rodeo. So if you think you're interested in something like that or a stock horse type events, please come see us, because we'd be happy to share what we know and point folks in the right direction with their kids and help them learn some skills.
Restless Farms, and it's 701 South. And here comes Buddy. He had to come in and get involved in the action. What you got, Buddy?
I got a pair of boots here, Nick. You done the best you could there with them rubber boots, but when you come back, you're gonna have to have these and hold your hat on better.
Are these boots made for walking or riding?
These boots are made for riding.
These boots are made for riding. You got it. Thank you, Buddy. Thank you, Stacy. Restless Farms, come on out. Performing next on Inside Out is pianist David Manigo and his niece, Sasia. Remember when Mama loved to cook? Well, now Mama eats at Magnolia's, and you should too. She knows that Magnolia's brings the Anderson family farm straight to the table. There's breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch buffets, plus a salad bar and banquet space available. As for the price, Mama says she can't cook it that cheap. Magnolia's for good old Southern comfort food that'll have you coming back even before the cashier says. Y'all come back. 26th Avenue North and Ocean Boulevard in Myrtle Beach. This month's video features second graders from the Socastee Elementary School making Valentines for their loved ones. Let us thank the teacher, Leslie Ventura. Up next is a feature with David Manigo and his niece Sasia. Sadly, 5 days after we interviewed David, he passed away from a pulmonary disease while waiting for a lung transplant. Having attended David's funeral and having known him for 35 years, I can tell you that his God-given gift of music inspired everyone he met. We want to thank his wife Connie for giving us her blessing to continue to air this piece. We're in Carolina Forest today at the home of David Manigo. Now, I fell in love with David and his music when I moved to town back in 1985. I followed him everywhere. I was like a groupie. He plays the piano and sings like nobody's business. As a matter of fact, David, is there any place you haven't played?
Not many.
I know, you've been everywhere. And then most recently, you were head of the gospel choir.
Correct.
At Coastal Carolina University.
Correct. 15 years.
And you taught in the schools.
Correct.
How many years?
The school's 26. Coastal Carolina, 15.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you're still at it. Tell me about your production studio here.
My production studio here is real intimate. I normally do just single acts because I can't do, well, I can, but I don't like doing live drums. So we can record the drums, record the instrument, do the voices, then put it all together.
Amazing. And you do that right here, and you do it more affordably than a lot of places for people going to Nashville or, you know, big cities.
And I don't let it go until it's right. Don't worry about the money. It's only when it's right. If it ain't right, we do it over.
And the name of your business?
The Goat.
I know. What does that mean?
Well,
it's spelled G-O-T-E. The Goat.
Correct. When we were little, kids would tease us about our last name, Manigo. They would call us all kind of names.
Oh, as in Manny Goat.
Manny Goat, Billy Goat, Nanny Goat. So when I came up with this name, I said, Manny Goat, which means the greatest and only one.
And yet you chose not to spell it G-O-A-T, instead G-O-T-E.
Correct.
Well, it's certainly clever. What can I say?
Thank you.
And so you told me that you wanted to do a little salute. This is Black History Month, and you wanted to talk a little bit about African music and how it kind of was the way it all began.
Sure. This being February, Black History Month, I wanted to show and demonstrate a little the African influence on American music. Because as you know, when the slaves came here back in 1619, they not only brought their tools for working in the fields, their know-how of working with animals, but they also brought their wonderful songs. So as they learned their new language and learned about Jesus, the Bible, they took those same melodies and put the new language to it. And that became our hymns. And that became our spirituals.
And then from spirituals, where did we go?
Buddy Bolton was the prerequisite to Louis Armstrong, his playing style, which he got out of the clubs. He took it to the church, along came blues. After blues, there was jazz. Before there was modern jazz, there was rock and roll. The first rock and roll player was
Chuck Berry?
Chuck Berry.
Yes, I knew it.
Chuck Berry took a song called Maybelline, speeded it up. That became rock and roll. All rock and roll is blues sped up with a different beat. Mm-hmm. Now from that, there was different types of jazz. You had jazz mixed with blues, blues mixed with jazz, blues mixed with smooth jazz. You had acid jazz, and so on. Now, then there came rap. The first rap was about Pigmeat Martin, a comedian. Hear ye, Dakota swing. It's just about ready to do that thing. I don't want no fibs, I don't want no lies. Don't want no alibi, this judge is hip. But that's what that was the
But
first
that was
rap.
good because I could at least understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Most of the rappers today, I don't know what they're saying.
And all that came from African influence. They brought with them the banjo, they invented the banjo, the drums, and so forth.
So you're not doing jazz for us at all today. You've chosen something else with your beautiful niece, who I know and love very much because we've done theater with her in Conway at the Theater of the Republic. Introduce Sasia.
Sasia is my niece. She's my oldest sister, only daughter. She could always sing, but I taught her about blues and jazz and how to scat. And the rest is history.
And she performs now with her other beautiful girlfriends, Ashley and Monique.
Right. She performs at the GTS theaters with 3 other females and a group of guys. They call them, and they perform they do a Temptation throwback show. And she's gonna sing with me at this time an old hymn that was written back in 1901. Later, it was dedicated to Martin Luther King. This song became known as the Black Negro spiritual. Lift every voice and sing.
David Manigo and Sasia Manigo.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven rings. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Right after this break, artist Lon Calhoun showcases his new creations.
Honey, I think I'll adjust the thermostat. It's getting a little cool.
Mom, you don't have to get up to do that. I've installed the HTC Connected Home app on your phone. See, you can adjust the temperature from anywhere. Okay, Mom, I've got to go. Thanks for house sitting. Make sure to lock the door and set the alarm.
No problem. I have everything I need right here.
HTC Self-Install Kit, $0 with 36-month monitoring commitment.
HTC, this is life. Connect with it.
It all happens right here on the stage of the beautiful new First Presbyterian Church in Myrtle Beach. This is the 34th award-winning season of FPC concerts. Opening February 6th with internationally acclaimed pianist Olga Kern. On February 13th is the award-winning Danish cellist Jonathan Swenson. On March 5th, virtuoso violinist Paul Huang. And our Broadway review starring Kimberly Bryant on March 19th. 4 fabulous concerts for $75. Tickets available at FPC.
February is always about love and passion here on Inside Out. And I've got an artist with me right now who's been passionate about art his entire life. Meet Lon Calhoun. And most of you probably know him because he grew up in Conway, but he's got a great new studio in Myrtle Beach that's not open to the public, but you can order stuff online. And I've got the scoop. Lon, first of all, at what point did you realize you wanted to be an artist?
Yeah, halfway through college. I was going to be a marine biologist and ended up in art. So graduated with an art degree.
Did your parents ever try to steer you out of the art? Because I mean, a lot of people would say art, acting, you know, a lot of the arts, people will never make a lot of money. And so parents sometimes kind of steer kids away.
My parents, if I veered off of that path after I had started on the art path, they would get me back on it. They knew that an office job or a sales job would kill me, that it would just crush me. So no, they supported it and sort of slapped me back in line a few times.
Tell us how you started as an artist, because what you were doing then is not what you're doing now.
When I first started, I was kind of feeling my way. I did a lot of portrait work. I did a lot of pets. People loved, and I still do every now and then do pets and portraits. Over time, though, I got into doing my series of pieces. I did my Conway series, my Pavilion series.
All beautiful.
Yeah, and thank you. And I had my gallery, of course, in Conway for years. So that was Conway was kind of my focus then. So.
Your dad, I know, has been a big influence on you because he was a jeweler in Conway, and not just a jeweler. I mean, he made beautiful pieces.
Right, yeah.
He didn't just sell.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Daddy actually created pieces that were really stunning. And my artistic talent comes through him, from his mother down through. In fact, a lot of the stuff you see behind us is either his or my grandmother's. I've sort of inherited things through the years that I still use of theirs.
You're actually using some of his equipment, too, to create some of these new things.
Yes.
Tell us what we have here behind us.
This is an experimental line. It's based on my Celtic line of horoscope. Everybody has an animal and tree that goes along with their birthdays. And I'm working right now on the molds that will eventually, hopefully, become jewelry pieces, pendants and pins and that sort of thing.
So it's all your artwork, and
Yes.
it starts out how?
It actually starts out as drawings. They actually start out as pen and inks. I feed them into the computer, and I have a laser etcher that actually creates, it actually cuts into the wood, burns into the wood, creates this mold, and then I can create the pieces from it that you press into. This is clay. I'm using that to make sure that everything is right before I start using anything more valuable.
And then there'll be gold and silver?
I hopefully in a future incantation, yes, it will be.
Now, the thing I really fell in love with when I visited with you recently in your studio here were these pieces over here on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about them is that we can own our own Lon Calhoun without having a huge place to hang it, because people don't always have lots of space.
Right.
And you've kind of done these, they're not miniatures, but they're beautiful, Lon.
They're actually a different type. I was trying to get a little bit away from the prints, which are fragile, that have to go under glass, and just present the artwork in a slightly different way. So what I've done is taken my art pieces, my South Carolina series that's building, some of my other pieces like my oak trees.
Your animal series?
My animal series, and transferring them to tiles. So they start out as small tiles. And then the ones that you're talking about, we went a step further, mounted them on a tile that actually looks like wood, and then framed them. So it's just a different presentation of pieces that I've done.
I've never seen anything like this, and people can purchase the tiles separately, or they can purchase a whole piece already framed and matted.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I actually have an entire series of my old Conway pieces that are people still want every year, and they're being carried by Curtains and Things in downtown Conway, and they're just the little 4x4 and 6x6 tiles that people display.
And you also have things, I believe, in Tomlinson's.
I do. Tomlinson's carries a lot of my South Carolina pieces. My Palm and Moon piece is one of the pieces that they've carried actually for years.
Well, tell me more about this piece, because it is a beauty, and there's no doubt it has to be one of your hottest selling items.
It is. It's actually sold actually all over the state. We've got places down in Charleston that carry it. Tomlinson's in all the region carries it. It's simply a palm tree, silhouette of a palm tree against a blue sky, with the crescent moon, our state flag, the symbol of on our state flag. And it has been very.
I like it because it's almost rustic. You know, there's something rustic about it that takes us back to the old South Carolina. Do you feel that? It's
actually a gouache, which is a watercolor type of paint, and it does have a roughness to it. It's not extremely finished. In all honesty, Mama was the one that wanted me to paint it. She kept saying, paint this, paint this, paint this. And I was like, fine, I'll paint it. I got it. I did it. That was so long ago, and that piece still has never stopped.
So how is all of this different for you? I mean, you used to have a studio in Conway where people visited all the time. You had to open regular hours. Now you have a studio in Myrtle. Listen to this. Yes, there are 5 cats that live here, and you will hear them. They're adorable. So let's talk about how it's different for you now. You have a studio in Myrtle Beach. Nobody comes here, but everyone can order online. How has that transition been for you?
It's been, I miss seeing the people. I do. But it allows me to concentrate for long periods of time without being interrupted. As you said, I don't have to keep particular hours. And things are done now, unfortunately, or fortunately, so much online. And that's the way that I'm kind of progressing right now towards opening an Etsy store and that sort of thing where people can order things online. And it's different. It's completely different from when I had my brick and mortar back in Conway. Now I miss my shop in Conway, and I miss seeing everybody and all the stuff I used to do with the theater and all of that. But it is easier.
So how can people reach you online and place an order? Obviously through phone or through the website.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they can get me at my website, loncalhoun.com, or at my call me at 448-3801.
And knowing you're not done with being creative. There's something else you're wanting to do that you have not done yet. What is coming up for you in 2020?
Well, actually, what I want to move more into are the 3-dimensional pieces. I want to transition away from the 2-dimensional, start doing some of the things that Daddy used to do, some of the creative pieces in precious metals.
Always the artist, always the creator. My friend, Lon Calhoun. Thank you, Lon.
Thank you.
Meow, 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 meow. Family outreach, helping hundreds to become better mothers. Learn more coming up after this.
As fellow community members, HTC believes in helping friends and neighbors protect what matters most. With integrated home technology, I can control my home and security system from my smartphone. HTC Security makes my job easier and keeps my world running smoothly. No matter where the day takes me, HTC brings reliable, world-class security right here to Horry and Georgetown counties because you are here, and so are we.
Upgrade your security with a video doorbell from HTC.
HTC. This is life. Connect with it.
This segment of Inside Out is brought to you by Luke Rankin, Rankin & Rankin Law Firm. Experience you can trust.
We're in Conway right now at Family Outreach. It's a wonderful nonprofit organization that's been around for a long time. But like a lot of nonprofits in our community, funding has been cut across the board. And so it's up to us to step up to the plate. And Susan Canterbury, you are the executive director here. Tell me a little bit about this organization and what you do, because I know with all the many things that you do, you guys are swamped and need some more volunteers.
Well, Family Outreach has been around since 1983, and we work with families in need in the county. A large part of what we do is parenting education, especially to younger parents, teens, early 20s, more vulnerable families that need help. And we also offer tangible products such as diapers or formula or clothing to families of any age in need. Here at the office, we call it the Diaper Bank.
You mentioned vulnerable, and right now many of your clients are very vulnerable because of the Medicaid cuts. Your organization is not affected by Medicaid, but the people that you serve are. Would you explain?
Most people don't realize that the majority of people on Medicaid, first of all, are children, the elderly, and disabled. And a large portion of the children, of course, have mothers, and sometimes single mothers. Well, they're vulnerable because if you have a young child and you're going to be required to submit job searches or volunteer hours, and you can't afford daycare, or there aren't enough state ABC vouchers to cover daycare, what are you going to do? volunteer hours. Not many places are going to let you bring a baby or a toddlers to do volunteer work. So it just makes it harder. It's just an obstacle that's going to make it hard for them to overcome.
So I'm sure everyone agrees that we don't want people sitting in a rocking chair or being a couch potato and not applying for jobs and just collecting Medicaid. I mean, the fact is everybody should be trying to go to work, but the young moms cannot. It's not as easy for them.
It feels to me like it's more of an effort to drive people off it and save money than to really help people stay on it that need it.
Tell me about your funding. How are you funded? Even though funding's been cut, you still are blessed to have some funding.
Yes, we have been very blessed that for many, many years we are a United Way community partner. We also get grants. Currently we have a grant from the Children's Trust of South Carolina that helps us work particularly with young parents, and donations and fundraising.
So you always need more volunteers, and you always need more churches and civic clubs involved to help support the organization.
Yes, we do. You know, and if somebody has a civic club and they want a speaker, they can call the office. I'd love to go out and speak to them. Sherry's wonderful.
And we'll talk with Sherry in just a moment, but you do have some fundraisers during the year, and one of your biggest is in August.
Yes, Scoop Fest, and I love it because it's for the whole family. It's for single people. Anybody that likes frozen treats, ice cream, frozen yogurt, whatever, it's for them.
When's it coming up?
August 29th, and we plan right now to have it at the same place, Market Common. And, you know, it's a competition. Think of it, you know, as our Iron Chef for frozen food competitors.
And in August, don't we all need ice cream and frozen treats? Any final words from you, Susan, before we move over to Sherry?
We're looking for business sponsors for Scoop Fest to partner with us to make it a success.
You got it. Susan, thanks so much for all you do for the young mothers and even older mothers who are single and need help in our community. So let's turn it over to Sherry Coutain right now, who is our family life educator.
Diana, it's so wonderful to have you here today.
I'm glad to be here because I know what wonderful work you guys do. Tell me about how you work with a mom when she walks in the door.
Well, a lot of times those young moms are expecting, and sometimes for the first time, so we want her to have positive parenting skills, but we have to start with prenatal care. So we do a lot of education about what goes into growing a nice, healthy baby.
And do you still have a somewhat reward program for young moms if they follow the right path? They get some goods at the end.
Oh yes, so we still have our Baby Express basket. It's full of nice lay-out items to give them a good start, but they have to come to their prenatal appointments as well as educational classes to help them be prepared for labor and delivery and infant care instruction, and all of that is included. So once they deliver, we come and deliver a basket of goodies for them and the new baby.
You couldn't do this without the support of the community, I know. So many people fill these baskets with goods.
Oh yes, most definitely. We have senior citizens that quilt. The Carolina quilters make beautiful blankets for us. We have those that crochet and knit, that use their talents and skills to make lovely little items for the babies. And so we depend a lot on the community donations of diapers so that we can have those on hand as well.
There's lots of babies like baby Joey hanging around here, and I'm wondering what you actually do with these babies.
Okay, of course Joey is not a real baby, even though he looks like it.
He does.
But he's our demo baby, and he's a great tool to use to instruct young mothers on how to do some basic baby care or infant care instruction, simple things of holding the baby correctly or burping and diapering the baby. These are things that we are teaching using our demo dolls, and it's very effective, and it also gets their mindset that, hey, there's going to be a real baby soon.
Sherry, do you actually go into the schools too and talk to the young people about abstinence, pregnancy, etc.?
We have a history of working with Horry County Schools in a partnership with Horry County Schools and assuring that we have evidence-based curricula in place for the health teachers to present to those middle school and high school students. And we've seen a 50% reduction in our teen pregnancy rate as a result of this effort.
And I know we're here in the diaper bank,
yes.
And do you just bring families in here to help themselves what they need?
Well, we actually have families that are walk-ins. They come to our office. They may have a need for diapers or wipes or gently used clothes for their child. But we understand that times are really hard now for young families. So those are what we call our concrete needs. And we can't really educate them until we first give them some of those basic needs, some of the things that they need for their child. And we're glad that we're here, but we always need donations of diapers and clothing and baby items, formula, those type of things, because, you know, babies just don't come with any packages of goods that come with them. We have to supply those as they need them.
Or directions.
Or a direction. So,
and
yes.
Finally, you certainly work with young dads. We wouldn't want to leave them out of the picture.
We like to look at it as a holistic approach. You know, it's all about the family. And if we can help the adults in the family, then the children will definitely be blessed.
And that's why they call it family outreach. Well, baby Joey needs changing, so I'm going to turn him over to Sherry right now, since she is the community educator here. And thank you so much, Sherry, for the great information. And August 29th is Scoop Fest. Yummy.
Yes. Don't want to miss it.
Good job, baby Joey. A love song from the Serendipity Singers coming up, so don't go away.
Hi, I'm Luke Rankin. Horry County is my home. I was born and raised here, and for nearly 31 years, I've been helping people. I'm an attorney. When folks need help after an accident, if they've been injured on the job or denied Social Security benefits, they call me. No screaming, no crashing cars here, just a serious offer to help. If you need legal advice or assistance, go with experience. Give me a call. Luke Rankin, Rankin & Rankin Law Firm. Experience you can trust.
We're in Surfside right now at the Trinity Presbyterian Church on Glens Bay Road. This is also the home of the Serendipity Singers. Now, we interviewed them many years ago, and they've got a new director, and so I wanted to introduce her to you because they would like to have some new members. Welcome, Pam Beausoleil.
Thank you, Diane.
So before we talk about Serendipity, tell us what you do in the community.
Well, I'm a high school counselor by trade, retired from Horry County Schools about 3 years ago, but I work part-time at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Catholic High School on Carolina Forest Boulevard. So that's my part-time job. And this is my full-time job.
But when anyone asks you what you do, you always say you're a singer. So what is your singing background, Pam?
I started singing in church when I was 16, but I've been singing since I was about 4 years old. My mom would be getting ready. She was always late. So she would say, Pamela, go entertain everybody. And so I'd start singing then. So I've been singing for quite a while. Majored in music in college, then went out and got my master's in education counseling. But I've always been involved in church singing and often have been involved in fun singing, which is what we do here at Serendipity. We have lots of fun.
The former director, Diana Scroggins, told me that they looked long and hard to find somebody, and then they found you, and you were everything they were looking for because you were fun, and you wanted to make this a camaraderie as well as a great choral group.
Well, that's really nice to hear.
Family.
We are definitely family, and it didn't take me long to become a part of the family. And they go along with me because sometimes I'm pretty silly, but they laugh with me. And picking the music for them is extremely important because I want to make sure that that fun and that caring that they all exude comes through in how they sing as well. So that's what's fun, especially about being the director, putting my own little spin on it. Even though I love singing, helping everybody else sing is even more, as much fun or more. So.
Finally, let's not miss a chance to tell when you rehearse.
Oh, yes.
And you do here. You rehearse here at
right
Trinity.
Here. Yes, ma'am. Every Thursday afternoon from 2 to 4 o'clock. You can get here a few minutes early, but you can contact me beforehand if you're not quite sure where we are. But Trinity is easy to find on Google. I don't know if that's everybody's search engine or not, but it's definitely mine.
But Glens Bay Road is easy enough in Surfside.
And Glens Bay Road is easy to find, yes. So they're so generous to give us rehearsal space. We have our concerts here twice a year. We have one coming up at the end of April, and then we always have our Christmas one the Sunday before Thanksgiving, just to get the spirit going. So they're so generous to us, so we're really grateful to Trinity.
So we want folks to certainly think about joining the group.
Oh, definitely.
Ladies of all ages, if you are looking for fun, camaraderie, family, this is the group, the Serendipity Singers. And
Yes,
what are y'all
ma'am.
going to perform for us?
Well, we're going to sing Can't Help Falling in Love. And you might remember that Elvis sang it too.
Elvis has not left the building. He may show up. So hang tight with us, because coming up, the Serendipity Singers. So while I was at Lon Calhoun's studio, I met all the cats. You probably heard them crying in the background during the interview, but this is my favorite. His name is Sixth, and he was the 6th cat adopted here at the studio. All ferals, so it was wonderful that these folks all took him in. Now, Sixth used to be 30 pounds. He's been on a diet, and he's only 26 pounds, but he's still one of the largest cats in Horry County. Yes, that's right, Sixth, but if I keep feeding you these treats, you're going to be back to 30 pounds. Here you go, one more. That's it. And you can see, Sixth is a lot to love. Have a lovely February, and I'll see you again in March for another edition of Inside Out. Isn't that right, Sixth?
Inside Out is presented by HTC. This is life. Connect with it. And sponsored in part by Luke Rankin, Rankin & Rankin Law Firm. Experience you can trust. And by Magnolia's at 26th for good old-fashioned Southern comfort food, where Mama eats.